Hello, peoples. I wanted to do a quick rundown of what I was up to after finishing modeling the contents here. Uh, oh, sorry, I wanted to save that for the actual demonstration. So, well, this part I can pull it off now, and I managed to implement the other stages of the thing. So, first spool delivers this little Lucy Tech folder information brochure. Next spool delivers the Lucy Tech tape package, and then it's just empty. I was thinking maybe I can still do something with this. So the last stage, there's like a mirror in there that reacts to your shaking it. This one I also set up as a very simple multi-stage object. So you pull here and you produce a little tape, and the plastic cover here snaps open. So that's really all there was to it. I'll switch to Unity in a moment to just quickly run you through how it all works. Seeing it in action now, it's the effect is really simplistic, but I kind of like that. It shouldn't be too complicated. Setup was uh, complicated enough, so to say. Okay, let me switch over to desktop and walk you through what happened here. So, a quick rundown of the multi-stage idea I started out with in the beginning of episode 1, more or less. It was simpler than I imagined, really, but I want to have this last episode just be a rundown of the whole tiny system. So I can just refer to this one if anyone asks how it's put together. So we have the envelope here, and the envelope is built up as a so-called multi-stage object. So let me see. Let me hide the non-interesting stuff here. So it simply has like 4 childs, and each child is handled as being a stage in the object. And I have it switch with certain commands from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4. One being the closed envelope with the openable tear off bit. Let me just show it. 2 being that you can pull out the first object, 3 being that you can pull out the second object, etc. 4 being just the empty envelope. And it's a really simple script. The loop is so that it can return to stage 1 after finishing stage 4. All it does in a wake here is search out all the children and deactivate them as long as they're not the first stage. It just searches all the children and then runs set active stage on current stage being default to 0, so being the first child. And it simply runs through all the stages here and activates the one that's equal to current state. This is just some testing code and update that I have a key press to switch between states. I can actually better disable that so it doesn't accidentally end up in the final build. And then we have in the editor some events that simply call this function here. It just activates, deactivates the current stage, activates the next one, and should be fine and dandy. So stage 1 here, it's just a parent with a grouping of the model of the stuffed envelope, and I didn't realize that I still had Oh, we're compiling, sorry, I changed some code. Oh, the stuffed envelope here still has a box collider. That, if all is well, that can go. That's just the model. The tear off bit here is the thing that can rotate. Let me hide the pool tab here. So this is just a simple object that has a script that watches if it's being handled, and if it's being handled, it just opens up to denote that, hey, there's something funny about this envelope. Maybe I can tear the top bit off. And when you do, that's where this pool tab comes into play. A pool tab is just a simple trigger area here that registers via the VR handling system if you're starting an interaction with it. And if you do, what's this? Let me time deactivation. Oh, okay, this is just so just to make sure that at start of the game this thing is deactivated. Ignore that. As soon as you start pulling this, it calls the function next stage on the stuffed envelope sequence. So you pull this, next stage gets called, this one gets deactivated, that one gets activated. And as a bonus, there's a pull tab option up here that spawns an object into your hand, and that's just a copy of that bit. So you have an actual effect on the thing. So next thing is that this stage gets deactivated, this stage gets activated, and it's a bit messy here because of the pull tab object. Let me just deactivate that. Same system, just dumps the envelope as a folder, but now there's like a bit of the folder that you can pull out, sticking out, and the pull tab now contains the folder object here that gets spawned in only when you pull on the pull tab here, which is again this trigger area here. The funny thing now is if I put like an audio element into stage 2, it's the sound, because it's on play on awake, you will hear when stage 2 gets spawned, so to say. And that's just this sound, which is like the sound of the tear off bit getting torn off. Actually, I don't really oh wait, sorry, I have a random audio here. This is the sound you hear. I should still change the sound, but I had this one lying around. So when the stage is activated, that sound will simply play. And as an end to stage 1. The folder is kind of simple, just a simple handling object with two states on it that animate into the open position as soon as you handle it. So not much to it there. And as soon as you pull that envelope out, stage 3 is called, stage 2 is hidden, and stage 3 is just the same thing again, really. Just with a different pull tab and with a different preview what would be inside the envelope. Pull tab now spawns this cassette pack, which is an interesting thing actually. Let me duplicate this out for viewing purposes. Again, with a little audio cue that you've pulled something out. Now, and this cassette pack here. Well, that's another two-stage object. So again, just a handle with a sequence behavior on it. 2 stages. First stage is the closed thing with a pull tab. This is the pull tab and where you see that tape spawn is where it will actually spawn. You may notice that this isn't the tape we saw in the during runtime, and that's because tapes are handled is a special case in APOTU, because I want one tape object able to represent all of the different tapes in the game. So there's like a cassette rep, what's it called, behavior on it, and this is what actually sets how the tape will look. It will look up. Let me see if I can show you this. This label texture, and in the case of the tape in here, it's label number 14 over here, which is the Lucy tech label with black and blue accent colors. So that gets put in place as soon as you as it spawns, which is also used for the reference over here inside the package. Just a cassette wrap and a post collider actually. So the cassette pack, same thing. You have a pull tab, you pull out the tape, you activate the second stage and deactivate the first one, and that's just the empty packaging and the tape meanwhile in your hand. So that's about it. Let me delete this one and let me activate stage 1 just because that is visually most clear. I just wanted to make this rundown because I showed you all the rest of the process, and I finished it this last yesterday, and it's done really. So kind of a bit shorter project than the frogs. It's not actually done. I need to also make this object persistent, but that's a whole other story. This has to do with the fact that if you play APOTU multiple times and you find this envelope, maybe you put it in your inventory. I want it to be there in the inventory and not inside the mailbox the next time you start it up. Maybe you only pulled the folder out and left the tape inside and put it in your inventory then, or left it somewhere. I wanted to keep its state the next time you play a new session of APOTU. And I have to figure out things like, imagine that you pulled out a tape, you played around with it, but you left it somewhere where it didn't get saved. Where do I put it in my world? I'm thinking actually putting all that kind of stuff that you might lose, all the stuff related to tapes and cassette decks and stuff over here in this little cupboard here. Well, we'll see. So that's what's left for me, but that's really boring. I won't try and bore you with that. If you do want to be bored with that, do let me know how to make objects persistent. But it's really technical, and actually every time I implement it, I need to figure it out all over again. And every time I want to make a new object persistent, I have to figure it out again. So I'm not really the best person to ask. But yeah, and then there's also, of course, the mailbox. I want to turn that into something that will receive mails at different times of the day. If you pull something out and you come back later, there will be new stuff in. Maybe if you never open it, it will be filled to the brim, that kind of thing. But that's all for later. So that was the stuffy envelope bit and the sequenced objects bit. I have almost finished. I hope you liked being taken along on this little project. If you didn't, or if you did, let me know, and I'll see you in a next one. Take care. Bye bye.